Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Box to Box Babes on the Football Terrace with me, Maya Graham. It's lovely to have you all back. We have so much to get through this week. Obviously, we couldn't do our show last week because there was a preview show. So yeah, double the stuff to get through. So let's not waste any time. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Let's do some introductions then. So we've got our usual suspects with us. We'll start with Mel, my fellow Tottenham fan. Hi, Mel. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. We've got Kendall. Kendall, a good week for you, and we'll talk about that a bit later. And we've got Mary, not such a great week for you. And we have a special guest this week, a Manchester City fan. To some people's surprise, I have found a Manchester City. No, I'm only joking. We've got Rose. Hi, Rose. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Right, so girls, we've got so much to get through, and I don't want to keep us too long because I know Kendall is itching to go and watch Newcastle beat Southampton.
I've just seen the team that's unchanged from the Everton win, so I'm a bit like, okay.
Do you reckon? Oh, actually, we'll speak about that in a bit. So let's start off with a bit of a European roundup. So we've obviously missed a week, but I just want to sort of generalise the first 3 match days. So each team has played everyone in their group in Europe, and I just want to talk about where we all think our teams sort of sit in our competitions. Obviously, Mel, we're not in the big one, but we won't talk about that. So Kendall, I'll come to you. Obviously, people know you as a Newcastle fan, but your second team that you follow is Atletico Madrid. Yes. So talk to me. You've played 3 games, you've won 1, you've drawn 1, and you've lost 1. Do you think this is good enough for the calibre of team that you are?
At the moment, no. The games have been a bit of really strange because obviously we played Bayern first, got beat 4-0. We did have a few major injuries out though. So obviously Sal's just come back. Costa was out. For example, I can't remember who else was out now, but yeah, we had a couple of injuries that game, and I think the game just passed us by completely. It was really, really bad to watch. Obviously, then we played Salzburg and we won 3-2, so another really, really close game. And again, 1-1 against Lokomotiv Moscow the other day, which was a really tough watch because the problem is, for me, it's not even about the goals that we're letting in. It's the chances that we're not taking, for example. So that's what is most frustrating watching at the moment, because there have been chances to take the game, and we just haven't. And I mean, Felix has only come into his own in the past couple of games, I would say, in the Champions League. So yeah, it's been a difficult watch.
I wanted to speak to you actually about, obviously you have leaked a few goals, but at the other end of the pitch, do you feel like your attacking is consistent? I know you've showed frustration with Felix before. Do you think on his day he's an incredible footballer, but does he do it enough for you?
That's the thing, no, he's very inconsistent. I mean, don't get us wrong, the past, I would say 4 games, so that includes 2 league games and the 2 Champions League games, he has shown how much talent he really, really has. He has been so direct. He's had his chances. Some of them he hasn't taken, don't get me wrong. He's put penalties away. He's looked really, really decent. And the issue that I had with him, I mean, last season he had a couple of long-term 6-week plus injuries. So I understood last season that he wasn't going to be the player that we signed him originally. But now this is his chance this year. And for me, at the beginning, he just didn't have the desire that I wanted him to have, because that's what you need in a team that do sit back. Like Atleti, obviously they sit back a lot. They play park the bus football. Simeone's known for it. And he just didn't have the desire to create a chance when we were on the counter-attack, which is how they like to play football. And that's what frustrated me. But the last 2 Champions League games especially, he's shown that he can play direct football. He can create. He's looked really, really strong. So I just hope that he stays with that, because obviously he was a lot of money. I know he's only young, so he's got plenty of time to, come into his own. But yeah, he's looking really, really decent at the minute. He had a really, really good game the other night, despite it only being a draw.
And just to sort of round off on Atletico, if we go back to the first game, 4-0 to Bayern Munich, it wasn't great. Do you think that, first of all, I assume you still believe that you'll make it out the group, but going forward in the competition, do you think you can be challenging for a competition where you're losing 4-0 to teams that are also possibly, definitely challenging for this competition?
I didn't, when we got beat by Bayern, I thought, that's it. Like, we're not going to make, I actually really thought that we weren't going to make out of the group. I do think we're going to make out of the group now, but this year we've got a massive chance at La Liga, because Barcelona aren't on the best form anymore, because Real Madrid aren't on the best form. So there is teams like Atleti, the Sevilla, Getafe, people like that, who have got a chance at the Liga this year. So I don't know whether that's going to be the issue, like the sticking point, if we're going to push on in the Champions League or not, because that's sort of what we normally focus on, because La Liga is normally out of reach most of the time. So I do think that we're going to have to step it up massively if we make out of the group, because there are teams like Bayern, for example, who are just going to smash it, and I do think they'll win it probably. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we can push on, and whether or not focusing on the league is going to be an issue, I don't know. But yeah, I think we'll make it out of the group, but it'll be a hard push.
So a team that I believe will still make it out the group, despite a very interesting performance in the week, is Manchester United. Mary, how are you doing? Have you recovered?
No, I haven't.
What happened?
I don't know, because we went from 5-0 against Leipzig to two absolutely appalling performances in a week. It's just, and to lose against a team that was formed in 1990, has never won a Champions League game and never scored a goal. It's disgraceful. It's unforgivable. And the players and the manager, I think, tactically got it wrong. But the players just looked disinterested. It was like to peg it back to 2-1 at half time, and then have one. We had 2 shots on target for the whole game. We scored one and then never looked like scoring in the second half. It was a disgrace, to be honest. And the defending, honestly, that first goal, I think,
oh my God,
I think I wouldn't even see it in under 16. I really wouldn't. It was that bad. It was the worst goal I think I've ever seen Man United concede, and that's not even an exaggeration. It was a disgrace to have everyone in the Istanbul side of the pitch. After, in 13 minutes, you take a corner and there's nobody covering Demba Ba, and then he's 400 million years old and he does Matic for pace. Like, it was a disgrace all around that goal. Second goal was no better, because Maguire was terrible for that goal, and it was a shambles. It's been a terrible week for Man United. It really, really has.
I just want to talk about, because obviously we didn't do a show last week, so we didn't really get to speak about the Leipzig game. So we saw Tuanzebe have a great game against PSG, then dropped for Leipzig, which I found quite interesting, because he was dropped for the league game as well, in between PSG and Leipzig. So I thought, okay, if he's not being played, then maybe Ollie's going to use him as sort of a Champions League defender, but didn't play Leipzig, did he? And now he's coming this week. What do you make of that? Do you think he made the right decision to play him? Did he look as good as he did in that PSG game?
I think, like, he was out for 10 months, and then we didn't want to rush him back, because he ended up having surgery on his foot. So for me, it was good management to just, ease them back in gently. But like you, I expected him to play in the Leipzig game. In hindsight, we won 5-0. But then we, like you said, we played Chelsea, we played Arsenal in between. He didn't play. Then he played against, I just don't understand it. Then he played the other night. Now, he wasn't the worst out there. In the second goal, he wasn't even at fault, but he got the yellow card and he got hooked at half time. But for me, I thought it was harsh on Axel, because Maguire was way worse than Tuanzebe. So if you were going to hook either of them, it should have been Maguire. But really, if you're going to, I can understand why you'd want to ease him back in gently so he doesn't get a secondary injury. But to pocket Mbappe and then not play for like 3 games afterwards, I think it was wrong from Ollie. Ease him in and give him some minutes. He got 10 minutes or so in one of our games, but I think it was in the Leipzig game. But really, he should have played a lot more of that, and he deserved to as well after that PSG game, because he was man of the match.
Yeah, he was very good. A player that obviously we've been wanting to see a bit more of, been screaming for, and now seems to be getting a bit more game time is Donnie Van Der Beek. How has he impressed you in the Champions League performances that he's played?
He has impressed me. I think he's probably been one of our best players this season, and that just shows how bad we've been because he's barely played. But he was the best player the other night on the pitch, and Ollie took him out after 60 minutes. Again, another substitute I didn't get. We fell apart, never looked like scoring after he came off. He's the only one that seems to be attacking and trying and pressing and creating a little bit. Very impressive, I have been. He's neat and tidy on the ball. He's very intelligent. And while Bruno isn't performing, Van Der Beek seems to be. So for me, he has to start against Everton tomorrow. And I would drop either Pogba or Bruno. And Donny has to start because he's the only midfielder right now, along with Fred, that seems to be in form.
So 2 decisions, substitution decisions that you've mentioned that are obviously made by the manager. Let's talk about the manager. What's your views? Are you Ollie in? Are you Ollie out? How do you feel?
I'm Ollie in because he's one of my all-time favourite players. And I think if he wasn't one of my favourite players, I probably would be Ollie out. I can totally understand why people are Ollie out. It's not been good. He's too inconsistent. His substitutes are poor. His in-game management are poor. He changes the formation too many times. He changes the selection. He made 6 changes from that Arsenal game to the Istanbul game, and we lost both games. So it looks like the players are now beginning to not play for him. He's starting to lose the players. And for me, it's inevitable he is going to be sacked. I mean, if we lose to Everton tomorrow, we're going to be we could be in the relegation zone the way the other teams are going to go. And for me, as much as I love him and I want him to succeed, I hope he turns it around. But if we're going into the international break in the relegation zone, he has to be sacked.
I just want to bring Rose in here, obviously as a rival fan. Do you look at the position that Manchester United are in with their manager, and are you sort of wanting them to keep them around as long as they are? Because at the minute it's not looking great. Are you more than happy? Because I mean, I'm hearing word of Pochettino, and if he comes in, you know, it's game over. I think he will turn that club around. So do you feel like you're happy with Ollie staying at United for now?
Yeah, I am. It's nice to see the mind of United. But to be fair, I just feel like I feel a bit sorry for Ollie because I feel like the players don't always play for him. I think he's a decent manager, but it's just a shame that he's in the position that he's in right now. And I do hope it continues, obviously, as a City fan. But it's a shame, like, obviously, seeing United fans going through all of this.
I guess there's always a lot more pressure, isn't there, when you are an ex player? So yeah. So Rose, let's stay with you. Europe, it's been great. Not so much the league, but Europe, it's been great. 3 wins out of 3, highest in the group. I just want to talk about your attacking options. So we've now seen Torres play through the middle on a few occasions. Yeah, he's been so effective. Now we know that that's not his natural position, but for whatever reason, injuries to Aguero, resting Jesus, you have played him through the middle. Would you like to see him sort of be solidified in that position and be given a real chance there, because he looks great?
I think he's played well in that position, especially in the Champions League. He scored 3 in the last 3 Champions League matches, so it's good. But I just feel like now with Jesus back, I feel like Pep will probably play Jesus in the middle and then Torres on the wing. But obviously, Torres is still an exceptional option to have. He's just done really well. So I know both of them are undroppable at the moment because I know they both scored last week. So it'll be interesting to see, like, if Pep goes for Torres in the middle against Liverpool, or he stays with Jesus. So yeah, we'll see. I know he's going to play both of them, so we'll see against Liverpool.
Who would you like to see against Liverpool in that?
I think Torres has played so well, and his link-up play with Foden is exceptional. So I'm hoping that he goes for Torres. It's a different option, isn't it? And yeah, definitely. So I do hope he goes with Torres, but I can see him going with Gabriel in the middle.
Well, I mean, if we stick to Europe for the minute, Do you think that Manchester City, obviously the build over the last 10 years for the club's been great. Do you think you're due a Champions League?
I wouldn't say that we're due a Champions League. And the reason why we haven't really won the Champions League or we even got into the finals, because either we haven't been good enough or we've just had injuries to key players. So I just feel like it just hasn't been our time yet. I'm hoping that I do believe that we will win it eventually. I don't think that we'll win it this season because I feel like we're still 3 players short. I feel like we need a striker. Obviously with Aguero's injuries, it's not helping at all. And it would be nice to have someone else come in and maybe, like just shadow Aguero for like the last season. And I feel like we need a defensive midfielder as well. Fernandinho is aging and he is getting quite a bit more injuries as well. So I feel like we need that, especially in the tough Champions League matches where you probably need 2 defensive midfielders. I feel like Gundogan and Rodri in those games, they will be found out a little bit. And I also feel like we need left as well. Look at Mendy. Mendy's injured. As again, like it's just there's quite a lot of injury prone players at City, and I just feel like we're just 3 players short. But obviously, the good thing is we have sort of like strengthened in defence with Aki and Diaz. So I'm just hoping that will help, and I'm hoping that by the time we get to last 16 of the Champions League and so on, I'm hoping that we do get players back like Aguero, and obviously Fernandinho as well. I feel like they could potentially help us so that we can challenge this season in the Champions League.
I just want to stick on those defensive options that you've got. Obviously, you've had your critics over the past year for your defensive options, or should I say your lack of defensive options, and that may have possibly been your downfall last year. You've obviously gone out in the window and bought defensive options. Do you think you now can? Do you think that has solved your issues that you had last year?
Obviously, I've not really seen much of Aki. I think he's played a couple of games, but he has been out a bit. But in terms of Ruben Diaz, I have seen quite a bit of him. And obviously, when we got him, I didn't really know much about him because obviously everyone was talking about getting Koulibaly. So I was quite interested to see how he was going to play. And so far, in my opinion, he has been outstanding. But the thing is, it is still early days, and I feel like the next 2 matches, especially against Liverpool and Spurs, we're really going to see if like those issues have been solved. What we're going to be facing Jota, Salah, Mane, and Kane and Son, who are in great form at the moment. So I just feel like those next 2 matches, we will see like if these defensive issues have been somewhat sorted.
I'm on mute, sorry. Just stick it. Just finally, I just want to talk about Pep. He's obviously had some rumours going around about his future at the club. Do you think he has a long-term future at the club? Do you think he definitely needs to be winning something big this year? What do you think?
I do think Pep had long-term future at his club. I know a lot of people are like, no, he's going to leave, blah blah. But I feel like obviously the owners want us to win the Champions League, and that's obviously why he was brought in. But then again, the owners really, really appreciate Pep. The way that the chairman speaks of Pep Guardiola, you can just tell like they're willing to give him as much time as he needs to win that Champions League. So I feel like if Pep was to leave, it won't be because he sacked him or anything. It would be because he wants to leave himself. So I feel like he will be given all the time that he needs to win that Champions League.
I think when you've got a manager, one of the best managers in the world, you have to stick with them. And another team who has maybe one of the best managers in the world, I don't know, is Tottenham. Mel, now not in the competition that we've just been speaking about, but still in Europe. It's been a bit up and down. What do you make of the performances that Tottenham, or we should I say, have had in Europe so far? Obviously, we haven't spoken about last week, but yeah, what's your overall view?
It's funny because I was going to banter Rose about the Champions League until I remembered the competition we were in. It definitely has been up and down. We're a team that went into Europa. This is my opinion. Don't slaughter me. We are a Champions League side, and we got into Europa. I believe because we're going through a transitional period, so we need to act like it. And in Europa, I don't think we've been acting like it. In all honesty, we're not looking like. I know it's only the group stage. It's early days, even when we was in the Champions League, when I think Madrid ended up winning it, we were the bottom of our group, wasn't we, for a good while when we was against them in Barca. So, we know how to switch it around. I would like to sit here and say, it's Tottenham. It wouldn't be Tottenham if we didn't do it the hard way. However, I can't sit here and say that it's just not good enough, is it?
It's definitely not. That performance last week was shambolic. So I just want to go back to that Antwerp game, and we were all quite shocked at halftime when Jose Mourinho made the substitutions that he did. We all knew that subs had to be made. I didn't expect those particular subs at that particular point in the game, but we know that he's a bold manager. The game ended. It ended 1-0. So do you agree with the substitutions that he made? Sometimes Jose makes subs like that and it comes off and we call him a genius. But do you agree with those substitutions at the time that he made them?
The one thing I like about Jose is he's a manager that doesn't take any shit. Excuse my language. He's a manager. If you're not playing well, you're coming off. I think, what was it, 4 subs we made at halftime? I think it's a bit dramatic, to say the least. I didn't really agree with Son coming off for Vinicius, because I genuinely think Vinicius was one of the few players that was actually trying to do something. Who else came on? Lamela. Was it Lamela? Who did he come on for?
I've tried to erase the game out of my mind, but
I think it was for Lo Celso. I think he kind of just threw in a bag of attacking options, really, to try and get something done. I understand the Højbjerg substitution, because I think it was Højbjerg for Lo Celso, maybe. I get that, because Højbjerg would have been needed, maybe to potentially shield the defense. Maybe that's what Jose thought we needed, which I agree with. I wouldn't say he really done it. I think he stabilized the midfield very well, but again, it's just conceding, to individual error. Davis giving the ball away. Davis is a player that I've actually rated more at centre back. However, time and time again, losing possession. I don't want to take any credit away from Antwerp. People laughing about Antwerp. Antwerp are not a bad team.
They should have won the game 3-4-0 for me. They just didn't take the chances at the other end of the pitch. But credit to them.
Notable shot for I think it was from their left back. Very notable shot. But with Davis, who do they have up front? Mbokani. We saw when he was in the Premier League at Norwich. He kind of flourishes against defenders like Davis. He's very physical. He's very strong, and Davis just couldn't handle him. Antwerp, you could tell they were really up for it. Not once did they, even after they took the lead, they didn't drop off, which is not the same I can say for Tottenham. But I think we actually played better in the first half than the second half, which is crazy considering the substitutions we made. But I don't think there was at one point in that game I thought I could see us equalising, in all honesty, and I think it's just embarrassing.
That's definitely not good enough for a team that were in Champions League last year. That we probably should expect to be favourites for this competition. It's just not good enough. But do you still think Tottenham have a very good chance of winning this competition?
I don't want to say anything until we see what teams drop down from the Champions League. When I see who drops down, then maybe I may have a clearer idea. But I do think we're in for a chance. And, Jose likes Europa. He loves to have that one. So we'll see. I'll come back to that.
Okay, let's move on to the Prem. So I just want to look at the top half of the table. United and City aren't to be seen near that top four area. So it's a bit inconsistent for both teams. I'll start with you, Mary, and the Arsenal game. Was that a game that you really thought you should have been winning?
Arsenal, let's be honest, like, and people are going to probably come for me in the comments, but they're a poor Arsenal side. They really are. Arteta came and tactically, he got it spot on. I mean, they sat behind the ball and counter-attacked us, but really, if we have any ambitions of, I'm not saying winning the league, but even being in the top four, we should have beaten them and beaten them comfortably because they're Arsenal. But they were the better side and they deserved the win. And it was a poor display from Man United. And where I predicted us to be in the top four in the beginning of the season, but when Ollie didn't get his targets, and now with the way it's going, we're going to be nowhere near the top four, sadly.
Are you quite sure on that you really don't think you've got
100%. And in fact, any team after game week 6, historically, who's not in the top 6, doesn't finish in the top 6, more or less. And we're 15th. So I would be shocked if we even come in a Europa League place at this stage. That's not being knee-jerk. It's being like, that's just being realistic at the way it's going. If we continue,
we were 14th. We were 14th, and we turned that around. So there's hope, Mary.
And we can too, because we went on a 19-game unbeaten run last season. But I just think the way it's gone and the inconsistency, and the season is such an anomaly as well. Teams are losing all over the place because we had no real pre-season, none of us. So it's all over the shop and it's wide open. And anything can happen, but I just don't see it.
So if we just go over the other side of the city, Rose, are you happy with the start to the season that you've had? I think you're sitting in 10th, maybe. Are you happy? Should you be doing better? And are you still confident, and like Mary, that you will finish in the top 4?
Unlike Mary, I do think City will finish in the top 4. We might not win it. We probably won't win it this season, but I do expect us to get at least 3rd at lowest. In the Premier League, I don't know what's going on. We're so inconsistent. Like, you see us in the Champions League and then you see us in the Premier, and you're just like, is it the same City side? But what I will say is we have had injuries like key players. So, for example, Paul has been out injured in a few matches. Bruyne has been out. We've had Aguero out. We've had Jesus out. And I just feel like, and also think about it, we've only just got in Aki and Ruben Diaz. So I just feel like with the new signings in, and then with the likes of De Bruyne, Laporte, and Jesus coming back, I feel like City will obviously become a bit more consistent, and I can see us, getting some more points on the table.
I definitely think at full strength, when you've got every player fit, you should be contending for that title, to be honest. I mean, I keep repeating it, and I know I shouldn't, but the fact that, because it's not to take away from Liverpool's the defensive options, but that Van Dijk injury, I think, is going to change the way that the season goes, because for me, it was potentially really going to be Liverpool's or City's, and now you just don't know what's going to happen in a crazy season like the one we're having.
Yeah, I feel like obviously City had Laporte in the last season, and that's probably what didn't help us.
Yeah.
So I feel like it might go in our favour, hopefully, this season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If we are just continuing to talk about the top 6, Kendall, I'll come to you because you had a good week. You beat Everton. Don't know if you're expecting to do that, but I'm pretty sure we all had a discussion on the first show, and we all said, Everton look great, top 6 contenders. They've dropped off a little bit. How do you feel the game went against them? Do they still look like a team when you played them who will be contending for a top 6 spot?
I don't think they were themselves, but they have had a few massively key players missing over the last couple of games. So obviously James had been missing, Richarlison, Digne, they were all missing, and they've all been missing in key games where they could have gained points. I don't know what was going on with them last weekend. I don't know whether we just were better, which I can't believe I'm even saying that, to be honest. I don't know whether we were just better because we did have a different game plan than what we had originally started the season with. We went with the same sort of similar game plan to Wolves, and we got a draw there as well. So I don't know whether that just
Bruce's tactics
just broke their team down. Brucey Ball, don't know whether that just broke their team down. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, Calvert-Lewin, for someone who was so on form, we had all said when we discussed the best attack in the league, he was right up there. He he was non-existent against us for some odd reason. I don't know why. I don't know whether the game was just played deeper in their half. I really don't know. But it was a great result for us, great 3 points for us. And the best part was seeing Pickford almost crying on the bench when that penalty was scored. Oh, it was just chef's kiss, literally.
Obviously, our top six might have chop and changed now that we've seen Everton drop off a little bit. Who knows? I just want to ask, has anyone's top fours, now obviously, Mary, you just said you don't see United in the top four. Has anyone's top four predictions completely changed? Have you got anyone new in there? I personally didn't have Tottenham in my top four at the start of the season. I really didn't, and that's bad from me, but I saw us finishing fifth. I thought United and Chelsea would definitely make it, and so would City and Liverpool. Now, I mean, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I could see Tottenham potentially finishing second, definitely. So has anyone else's top four really been shaken up?
Yeah, I would say Tottenham, and like people are going to might laugh at this, but I think Tottenham could potentially challenge for the title. And like I said, this is a weird season and anything can happen. And if anyone can challenge for a title, it is Jose Mourinho with a point to prove. And going back to the Europa League, he'll need to prioritise, because we know what it was like, our form in the league. He just literally threw the league to go for the Europa, and it worked to get us in the Champions League. And it might come to the stage where Tottenham will have to pick and choose which one, because playing Europa and challenging for the title, it can't work. He'll have to pick one or the other. And if you can keep Kane and Son fit and firing, I'd see no reason why they couldn't, especially when Van Dijk is missing for Liverpool. You could definitely challenge for the league, but certainly top four is easy for Spurs, I think, this season.
Can we do it, Mel?
Yeah, I agree with Mary. Yeah, I think Spurs challenge this season.
Oh God, I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it.
It's such a weird league this year.
Yeah,
like Wolves, Leicester,
something, but I'm not saying what that is because I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely.
Mine did kind of change, because I think I had United in my top four. I think I was City and Liverpool interchangeable. I don't know who's going to grab it. And then I think it might have been Chelsea and United. And I think I'm taking United out and putting Tottenham in there.
Yeah,
maybe third. I'm putting Tottenham above Chelsea. I'm going to do that with my chest. Fuck it.
I don't disagree, to be honest. I think that City and Liverpool are definitely interchangeable up there. But like Kendall said, it's a crazy season. Like, we don't know what's going to happen, and Chelsea look to be growing into the season as well. So you just don't know. If we turn our attention to the bottom half of the table, we don't usually really talk about this, but I just sort of want to get some well, we spoke about United. So the bottom three at the minute, we can see in there are West Brom, Shef and Burnley. I think two of the teams have 1 point and one team has 3 points. It's really, really shocking from all three. And I think Fulham just sit above them. So if we look at those bottom three and look at Burnley and Shef in there, we saw two teams that finished, I believe, in 10th and 11th or 9th and 10th last season. They look like completely different teams. Has anybody been watching the performances and can tell me a bit about what's gone wrong? Mary?
Burnley haven't really signed anyone, and for me, that's, you have to strengthen every year in the Premier League. You cannot, no matter where you finish. Liverpool strengthened, they finished top 33 points ahead of us, and they brought in Yada and Thiago. So for Burnley, who finished 10th, really good season for them, and then they didn't strengthen. That for me is why they're going to struggle. They really, really are. Sheffield United have been found out, I think, and they're struggling to score goals. I think last season they were superb, and they kind of overachieved, and everyone was thinking, oh my God, and people were talking about Chris Wilder being the next second coming of Jesus, and I honestly, they have massively been found out, and I think I still think Fulham will go down. I do. I just think, and West Brom, their yo-yo club, they didn't sign enough players for me, but it will be one of Burnley and Sheffield United to go down with them as well.
It goes
we
to
all
show
in
that, like Bournemouth, for example, just mediocrity is not enough. Like one season, it can be enough for 5 years, and then one season, your team is just not good enough to stay up. And just it happened at Bournemouth, but we also took Jeff Hendrick, which is one of Burnley's key players, off them, and whether or not that's made a difference, I don't know. But
like Mary said, I mean, investing in the Premier League is so key, and as much as they do a job up there, Barnes and Wood, Rodriguez, whoever they play, they are so reliant on that long ball, big men attacking football, and you are going to get found out in the Premier League when you've got teams like City who get the ball down and pass it round you in circles. So yeah, it's going to be difficult. But are we all in agreement that Fulham and West Brom are definitely going to be going down, and then the rest is who knows? I think possibly, Sheffield, Burnley. It doesn't look great for either of them. I just want to do a little quick prediction of points. So finishing we've seen 100-point seasons now, and obviously this is a crazy season. What do we all think the top team will finish on in points this year? Rose, I'll come to you. Do you think this could be another mad runaway season, or do you think it will be quite tight?
I think it's going to be very, very tight. I think it's going to drop a lot. It's not going to be a 90-point season or 100-point season. It's probably going to be around an 80-point average season, maybe 86 max. That's what I see. I feel like anyone can beat anyone this season. Like, I can't believe Everton are so strong. I know that Everton haven't made so well as of recent, but they're so strong this season. And obviously they've got Ancelotti. Spurs, wow, like Kane and Son have been on fire. Obviously Liverpool as well. I feel like even though Liverpool have injuries to Van Dijk, I feel like they still have enough for some reason. I feel like they're still going to get through these matches. So I feel like this season anyone can anyone, and I think it's going to be like an 80-point season.
Does anyone think any higher? Does anyone think someone will run away with it? And no,
it's too close to call this year. Like everyone's just as you say, there's just so many different, like Aston Villa beating Liverpool and things like that. So
and we saw Norwich finish the season last year with 21 points. They were shocking, to be honest, weren't they? Do we think that Fulham or West Brom or one of these teams down there could potentially finish with less points? They've only got one at the minute. Is anybody thinking that could be maybe a 19-point season? I think the lowest in history is 14. I want to say, don't quote me, but do we think
I think it was like
Derby finished with 11.
I don't know, but could we see something that poor from one of those two teams this year? You're shaking your head, Mary.
I think so, absolutely. I think definitely less than 15. I think they've 1 point, 1 out of 7-8 games. Absolutely. I don't think whoever finished bottom is not even going to get 20.
Really? What do you think, Mel? Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be one team. I'll come back to which one I'm going to target for this.
Yeah.
Someone is going to embarrass themselves. Someone is going to embarrass themselves, like Derby. Was it Derby?
I think it was Derby.
That had that horrible goal difference.
Yeah.
Someone's going to do that, and I'm going to tell you when another time.
So we're reckoning around sort of 80, between 80 and 90, possibly for the top half. And Mary's even going lower than 20, possibly. We all agree with that as well. For one of those teams getting relegated, we will come back at the end of the season and see how we've done. So I just want to finish off with some little topical things. Rose, you mentioned Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. Scary. And I'm not being biased. They are the most dangerous forward two in the league right now. Focusing on Harry Kane, I just want to get everyone's views on some of the decisions from the Brighton game. So we'll start with the penalty.
I'm ready for you, Kendall.
We'll start with the penalty. So Mel, I'll come to you first. What do you make of it? First of all, do you agree with the foul on the edge of the box? Then do you agree with the VAR decision to a penalty? Or do you think that Harry Kane should have been given a card for backing into Lallana? What do you think?
I don't think Kane should have been booked for backing into Lallana. We see, as much as people want to deny it, I don't think the energy is kept across the board for players that do this. Giroud is a notable player that used to do things like this. And this isn't even a new thing. This is something Alan Shearer used to do. back in the day. It's something I think managers maybe install into their strikers. I personally think people are overdoing it a bit, talking about how dangerous it is. I've seen a few shouts talk about how, that could have been career-ending. I don't agree with that, in all honesty. I do believe it was a foul. Where it was maybe another story, because to me, I thought, maybe I haven't watched it back enough, I thought that was actually a bit outside the box.
Yeah,
but
so did I.
I personally agree with the decision, in all honesty.
Kendall?
I don't disagree with the decision as such. My issue is with Harry Kane in general. So not even just particularly that foul or that decision or whatever. For me, he does things that, and don't get us wrong, people like Andy Carroll, for example, elbow people a lot. And I don't agree with it. And that's just, but as you say, if you're going to be that sort of striker in the box, that's what you're going to do. But for me, Harry Kane has just got away with so many fouls over a couple of seasons now that I can't believe sometimes that, because other players would get penalised for it a lot. So like, you know how you have your typical players who get red cards a lot and things like that, like just from experience, like Shelby, for example. But I just think he gets away with a lot. I don't think it was career ending by any stretch of the imagination. And as I say, I don't think that particular foul was the issue. Just he does it a lot, and at one point I think he did it to Cresswell. That if it was like early on in the season or last season, which people are bringing it up a lot, and I really don't think that he gets penalised enough for things. But as I say, it wasn't that foul that was my issue. It was just a general overriding thing about Harry Kane.
I think rather than kind of, I've seen Kane get hounded for this. I think it's more of an official thing. As I said, forwards in particular have been doing this, for years. And I think it's more of a thing that I see what Kendall's saying, but I just don't personally just put this down to Kane. But I think players just know they'll get away with it. And that's something on the rest that I think was potentially needs to be done.
Completely agree with that. Completely agree.
I think that it was one of those decisions that could have gone either way. I've seen Harry Kane do that a lot and it not go in his favour. However, I just want to compare it to Jack Grealish. So we see Jack Grealish, he was the most fouled player in the league last season. He's very clever. He gets his body between the ball and the player. He knows how to draw a foul. And do you know what? Every time with Jack Grealish, it is a foul. Whether he plays for it and he, entices the player in, he does get fouled. It's very, very clever play. Do we not think, now the one from the Brighton game, I think could be looked at either way. Harry Kane did back into Lallana, but a lot of the time it is just clever play from Harry Kane. So why is he getting ridiculed for it? And players like Jack Grealish are seen as very clever, very savvy. Does anyone? Is it a Harry Kane agenda? We all know that people aren't his biggest fans, but
I'm going to be honest, yeah. So you see people say the reason there's been such a witch hunt on Kane about it is because people believe the media protect Kane, being a white English player. I agree to an extent. The only part I don't agree with is I don't think Sky Sports protects Harry Kane. There was I can't remember what game it was, but Sky Sports actually played what they thought was a dive in front of Kane's face. I wrote about this the other day, and they asked him what he thought about it, trying to humiliate him. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen that done to any other player. But put aside Sky Sports, I understand why people say the media protects Kane as a white English player. That is definitely a thing. However, I think there's also now, on the other side of the spectrum, a witch hunt, for the complete opposite reason. I think people don't like him and want to, have this witch hunt on him because he is, a white English player that they think gets protected by the media. But then, as you say, Jack Grealish gets away with it. So I don't know.
The British media is very strange, though. As soon as someone's doing well, they try anything to bring them down. And surely you want to back up your best country players. I really don't understand that sort of element of it. Like they used to do it to Raheem Sterling all the time. I think that's probably another agenda on their behalf. But yeah, I just don't really get the English media. Surely you'd want to support the best players, that you've got the best chance that you've got at you know, like international tournaments. I just really don't get it.
It's weird because I don't know if this is like a paradox, but I feel like the English media, I'm just going to call it as it is, are racist against black players, especially Sterling in particular. I also think they protect their white English players, but I also think they witch hunt against their best players. It just doesn't make sense.
It's very strange, yeah.
They do, because I've seen it with United for years. Beckham, Neville, Greenwood lately. Loads of them down through the years have absolutely been.
You know what? You bringing up David Beckham is interesting because I something resurfaced of the media before when David Beckham had, I don't know what it was following, but it was a bad performance from Beckham, and they had like this caricature of Beckham getting hung.
Yeah, that was after his red card against Argentina. He actually flicked out at Simeone, and I'm old enough to remember that, and got a red carded, and it was in the World Cup, and he was hounded. He was playing with Man United at the time, and it was disgusting. He was getting bullets through his letterbox. The media were a disgrace, and like that they were hanging that effigy of him as well, just like literally say he's been hung, and he was getting booed at all the grounds around the stadium that year as well by England fans and fans of rival teams. It was disgusting. So yeah, we've seen it with Rooney as well, another player. It's just when you're one of the best players like Harry Kane, Sterling as well, and we have seen it's Sterling's skin tone as well, 100% with that. So it's a mixture of everything, and they as soon as a player like Greenwood, he's smashing it, and then they tear him down for like he made a mistake, but they didn't tear down Phil Foden. It was Greenwood that they seemed to focus in on. So yeah, they have a long history of doing that.
So the second decision in that game was a first in Premier League history. We saw the ref going over to the monitor and sticking by his decision. I just want to talk about, can't take away from Lamptey. He's had a great start to the season and it was a great goal, but should it have stood? Rose, what do you think? What do you think of the foul? Was it a foul on Højbjerg?
I didn't actually watch that game.
Oh, did you?
No, I didn't watch that match.
It was a foul. It was 100% a foul.
Yeah.
How that was given, I just don't know. And the fact that he watched it and still gave it was even worse. It was a blatant foul. That goal should have never stood. I feel like I'm like a Spurs fan tonight.
Yeah.
But honest God, that was a clear foul.
Do we have to start looking at the level of refereeing? Because I like you, Mary, I've watched it multiple times and can't understand how, maybe from the slightest angle I can understand where he was coming from. Maybe 5% of me can understand, but if 95% of me thinks that's a foul, then I just don't understand. Go on, Mel.
I just don't get how we can be sitting how many miles away from the stadium and all see it clear as day. I don't think I've actually seen any argument about, the Kane one, but with the Højbjerg one, I've not seen anyone argue about whether that's a foul or not. So I don't get how we can be sitting in, our houses watching it on screen and see it's a foul, yet the ref 1 meter away can't see it. And what you said about the angle, there was one angle where I thought, did he get the ball there?
Maybe, yeah.
And then I saw another angle, which was actually more in line with the ref's view. And you can see he didn't get the ball. So
very, very strange.
And I saw the commentator said something about, Spurs can't complain because of the balance of play. I don't know what that was meant to mean, but I thought we all knew the rules were the rules, but apparently we can't complain about it.
Well, anyway, I'm sure we'll see more and more crazy VAR decisions in this crazy season, and I'm sure a lot of these decisions will start to shape the season, decisions that potentially mean a team is going to win a game as opposed to and getting 3 points as opposed to 1 point. It's going to be weird. Well, I know we were just talking about Greenwood and Foden, and obviously the fact that the England international squad has just been released and we've seen one of those two left out and one still in the team. I just want to talk about, with you, Kendall, Callum Wilson. So Danny Ings is now injured. Do you think Callum Wilson should have had a call-up? What do you think?
Look, I'm looking at this from a selfish standpoint, and because we technically... at the beginning of the season, I said we were like a Wilson and a St. Maximin away from relegation. I don't quite believe it in it as such, but I do think if he went international and say got injured, for example, we would be in a very, very, very sad state of affairs because we've got Carroll and Gail to rely on. Gail is out injured till roughly end of December. Andy Carroll can't even walk down the street without getting a hamstring injury. So we would be very struggling because then we'd have to rely on Joe Linton. So from a selfish standpoint, I'm glad. From a football standpoint and, you know, looking at statistics and stuff, he absolutely should have had a call up. This is not like a World Cup squad, for example. It's 3 games where you've got really no harm in giving him a chance. He's had 6 goals, 1 assist in 7 games. That he's had 70% involvement in all the goals that Newcastle have scored. Tammy Abraham, for example, who I am going to single out because I actually don't understand it. He's got 1 goal in 6 appearances. So looking at that from like a, you know, on paper, then Callum Wilson should absolutely be having a call up.
Yeah.
And then Gareth Southgate's excuse was so crap. I cannot even explain. Oh, you know, Tammy's an academy player and he's come through all the year. So what? Like literally, he said right at the beginning of his tenure that, you know, he picks players based on form. He's absolutely pure lies. It's just pure lies. He's done it his whole England career now, and he picks his favourite pals and his big teammates and whatever. And I just think he should have had a chance even for the 3 games. Doesn't have to play him. Just give the lad a chance. Like at a senior cap, it's really not that difficult when you're looking at players like Tammy Abraham, for example.
I just think a manager that is not starting Jack Grealish should not be trusted in whatever capacity. Rose, as a neutral, obviously, Tammy at Chelsea and Callum Wilson at Newcastle, you've got no affiliation with either 2 teams. Which do you think, at this current point in time, should have been receiving a call-up?
I agree. I just don't understand how Tammy has gotten a call up over Wilson. Like, honestly, like I still just don't get it. And even like, I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand it all. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm trying to defend it. I'm trying to, think maybe like what was he thinking? It just doesn't make sense. Tammy doesn't even start like a lot of games for Chelsea. Like, I just don't understand. Honestly, I just don't get it. And yeah, I think Wilson should have been called up, especially now Ings injured. So yeah, I don't get it.
I think it's strange, but
Very
that's
strange.
Gareth Southgate, isn't it? Here's me sat here wearing an England shirt calling our manager strange. But some of his decisions are so questionable, man. I don't even want to get started on Jack Grealish.
Very
I don't
questionable.
even.
God,
it gets me mad.
Anytime he's asked about Grealish, he just diverts it to Mason Mount.
Talks about Mason Mount. Yeah.
I don't know what Mason Mount has this soul tie with like English managers. I just don't know what it is. It's so weird.
Southgate loves him. Strange. Even Lampard won't let go of him. Like
I know. Like, what is
it? Just something quick and fun. I just wanted to get all of our opinions on is just looking at a sort of combined strongest back 4 in the league. Now I want to talk about players who are fit. So I know we'd probably put Van Dijk in there, but I'm talking about players fit for the season. If you could combine all the teams, who would you, and I'm going to say a back 4, not a back 5, you know, simple 4 players, who would they be? Mel, I'll come to you. We'll start at right back. Who gets, because I'm just going to say it, Kyle Walker's having a great season, but obviously we've got Trent. What do you think?
I'm probably going to get shot for this if any of our fans are watching this, but my combined back 4 is actually going to consist of maybe a few Chelsea players here. I'm saying Reece James.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's been great. He's very, you know what we say about fullbacks in the modern era, we expect a bit more of, an attacking an attacking aspect into their game, and I think he does it so well. Equally with his defending, I think he's very smart on the ball. He knows where to put it, and especially with his current form, I'm putting him there.
Have we got anyone in agreement or disagreement?
Herrera from Leicester as well. He's having a cracking season. He looks really, really good for me.
Anyone else? Anything different?
I'm going to say
I'm gonna
Trent
go with
because
Walker.
Oh,
I don't think you can go beyond Trent, but a shout for Pereira, and I wouldn't say any of the players actually. Really, to be honest, they've all been good.
they have been, yeah, definitely.
I knew
So we'll move
Luton would
across.
kinda like that game shout.
I tell you what, like you said, football is moving forwards, and if you're a fullback that can't attack, then
Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
well, I tell you what, Aaron Wan-Bissaka for me is an exception because he's an exceptional defender. You either have to be able to attack in your play, you know, and go forward, which we don't see Wan-Bissaka do that effectively. However, his defensive capabilities are unreal. But if we move across to centre halves, I'm not going to do sort of right-sided, left-sided, all of that business. Just give me 2 centre halves who you think have been the best and would make your combined back 4. Kendall, we'll go to you, or just one.
Kurt Zuma for me.
Mm-hmm.
Good season so far.
Yeah, really good season, and he scored as well. So if you can add both elements to your game, then you smashed it, really, as you say.
Is this currently, by the way?
Yeah, so I'm talking about, because obviously, well, for me, I would have Laporte in there, but he's been injured. He's come back, but you can't put him in there. So at the minute, if you were to be able to draw 4 players from any of the teams right now, who would you put in there? So have you got a shout?
Well, no, the only reason I asked that was because overall, you know, I think fullbacks, we can agree it's the Liverpool ones. But that's right. Currently, I'm not putting them in there. I know it's been harder for them with the injuries, you know, to Alisson, Van Dijk, but currently, that's why I said that, but continue.
So Zuma, and I mean, Thiago Silva.
I'm going to say Gabriel.
Yeah. He's had
he was incredible against us. Like, he really, really was. Yeah. He's been brilliant. I wished we'd signed him. You couldn't not go and pick someone else over him on form.
That's what they needed. It's what they needed. You know, we talk about players coming in, and for us, I want to say Højbjerg coming in and being effective, you know, an effective signing. And he, for me, has been very, very effective. I would be in complete agreement to put him in a current combined back 4. Let's move across to left back, a position that England can't even pick any players for. We're playing right backs at left back, but anyway, who would we have in there? I know, yeah. Who would we have in there? Rose, I'll come to you.
I think I'm still going to go for a Liverpool player. I'll probably go for Robertson. I still think he's solid, so I'm going to go for him. Yeah.
Anyone agree, disagree?
Yeah, and Chilwell as well for me.
Chilwell's looked good. What are you thinking, Mel?
I'm going to sound so biased, but I was actually going with either Chilwell or Reguilon, but continue.
Yeah, I think in form at the minute, if we are doing this on an inform, I think either of those two. Again, effective signing, not so much as Gabriel at Arsenal, but Chilwell at Chelsea really looks the part.
He's dealt very effortlessly with their squad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So a very different combined back 4 to you know what the overall combined back 4 might have been, but it just goes to show a lot of the big players aren't hugely in form at the minute. Harry Maguire, most expensive defender in the world, not in contention for me. I'm putting some maybe say like West Brom centre half in front of that. I'm only joking, but honestly, I would not even bring him into the conversation. So yeah, it just goes to show how interesting this season is. I just want to finish off this week. I know we have to let you go, Kendall, because your beloved Newcastle are playing.
Yes.
I just want to do a little prediction preview for some of the games this weekend. We've only got a couple to speak about, don't worry. We'll start with Everton, Manchester United. Going to be a good game, I think. Everton started off the season well. Man United not so much. However, Manchester United, for me, notably the bigger, better team. Does anyone think Everton are gonna nick this?
Yeah, I don't know. Have they got a few players back now? Is Richarlison back now?
No, he still has one more game, and Hammers is 50-50.
So what we thinking?
So you never know.
Mary, what do you think?
This could go either way. We could I think we're going to draw. I think it's going to be 2-2 because we just can't keep a clean sheet. Defensively, we're horrific. Everton, they are missing a few players, but they will be well up for this. They're going to be out for blood. They're going to be smelling our fare. And we've only won once at Goodison in the last 5 years as well. Last 2 games have been a draw. They've lost their last 2 and we're all over the place. So I think it's going to be a draw.
Draw. Anyone reckon Man United have got it? No.
I could potentially swing that way, but I feel like I sound like a bit of a United supporter. I've put quite a few predictions on them, so I'm going to chill out. But yeah.
Let's move to the big one for the weekend. We'll finish off with this one. Just a few this week. City, Liverpool. For me, interchangeable title contenders. Rose, do you think you're going to win this game?
The good thing is it's at Etihad, because we never win at Anfield, as you know. I know that they got Van Dijk injured, but they still have Jota, Salah, Mane, who are just going to come at us. Like, they're just going to attack us, and I can just tell. And for some reason, I feel like we're probably going to see a few. I think it might be a 2-2. Don't know what it is. Obviously, Laporte and Diaz, yeah, they're good, but they are still gelling, and it's going to be like probably their first big like game together. So I can't see us keeping a clean sheet. I think it's going to be like a match where there'll be a couple of goals, and yeah, I don't see City win.
By the way, are we saying RIP Bobby Firmino? Because Jota is what's going on? I mean, it's not looking good for him, is it?
No.
If he stays fit, Firmino has no place in the squad anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's mad. It's mad. Maybe it's going to be one of those situations where Jota comes in, gives Bobby a bit of a kick up the arse, and we might see him actually start to score goals. Who knows? Does anyone else think that it will be a game where we see City conceding, potentially Liverpool taking it?
Yeah, I think Liverpool are going to win this comfortably.
Comfortably.
Yeah, easy. They're going to dick City in this one, unfortunately. I hope for a draw, but I think they're going to win, to be honest.
So have we got anyone? I mean, Rose, do you think that City could win?
No, not with Aguero. They're just
okay.
I think they're going to be too strong, but I'm hoping that we can stay in the game and get a draw. So I agree with Mary. I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Be a very interesting game, but I think we're all then in agreement that Liverpool are looking scary. They look like they probably want to retain their title, and I do think that they'll be really wanting to prove something at the Etihad this weekend. So we'll do a little roundup and see if we got any of our predictions right next week. But for now, ladies, Kendall, go and watch Newcastle. I mean, do you think you'll win? Southampton look good.
Southampton look really good. Obviously, Ward-Prowse and Vestergaard have been really good for them, but Ings is out, which is our saving grace right now. So if Wilson can step it up today, and St. Maximin can actually be existent in the game because he hasn't the last 2, then I think we'll take it today. Fingers crossed.
I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Girls, thank you so much for joining me. Rose, thank you. It's been great having you on. We'll have to have you on again. Guys, this has been Box Babes episode 3. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all of that. And we will see you again at the same time next week. Thank you.